Okay, well, so how are you kids today? Where were you just at? Oh, you were at snack time. What did you learn at snack time? That you were hungry? Good. Now you're not hungry anymore.
I'm still hungry.
You're still hungry. All right.
Yeah, we
So-
got our leftovers.
Leftovers. That's good. So do you know who I am?
Benjamin Franklin.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. Now, who are all of you? We don't have time for all that, but we'll
The
go on this.
Federalists.
Oh, those guys. Well, they're good people. I don't know if they're a little. Sometimes you wonder about them. That Madison, he was a brilliant man. Do you like James Madison? Met him. He's a good guy. Kind of short, but good. James Madison, 5'2", shortest president we ever had.
Thomas Jefferson. He's short.
He was short. But during the Second War of Independence in 1812, he was a captain of mounted cavalry. You imagine having the President of the United States on a horse leading cavalry around Washington trying to save the city. No, he was commander-in-chief and he took it literally, just like George did. If they had to go to war, they went to war. So, what do you know about me?
That
Probably not. Everybody knows who I am, but they just don't know a lot about me.
You
Yes.
are the one that had the kite.
Ah,
Discovering electricity.
good. Let's see now. You're through. Nope, you still got a handful of stuff.
I don't have anything.
Come on up here.
Yay.
Guess what? We're going to talk a little bit about Mr. Franklin, me.
Cheese?
Here, hold this end over here like this and kind of walk a little bit back, just like that. Okay, stop right there. So, anybody know what this arrangement is?
That's a thing. It's rope for a kite.
This is the kite.
It's something that holds kites that fly.
Yep. And see that? That's the key to electricity. That's very important in your lives today, I imagine. So, do you know the story about the kite?
I watched it.
Did you watch it? Really, I did too. You know, what do you think would have happened if lightning would have struck my kite?
It was made electricity.
Well, don't you think it would have hit the kite and then exploded and burned?
It would burn, but it wouldn't explode.
Well, I think if you've seen lightning hit stuff, it has a really negative effect on it. It turns big things into little things really quickly. So, I was a writer and a printer all of my life. That was my job. And do you know what writers do? Sometimes they embellish the story. You know what that means? They make the story better when you read it than it really was. That happens a lot. So, here's my kite. It's up in the clouds during the storm. Well, no, you got to stay down here. You're the hitching post. You're where it's tied. You're where I was. You're watching to see what was going on. Here's your kite. You've seen kites in the clouds up in the storms? They go like this. They wander back and forth because the wind is blowing them back and forth between the clouds. Hey, have you ever taken your shoes off and then rubbed your feet on a carpet and then touched somebody or something metal and it went
Yeah, like plastic.
like static electricity or something? Yeah.
I
So
tried to at the park. It does that on the slide.
it'll do that. Okay, so guess what? Here's my kite. And it's going back and forth just like your feet between the clouds. Back and forth and back and forth. Well, you have to stay stationary because see, we go like this. And you know, this string, it's really nice, but it's not a wire. So it wouldn't let the electricity travel down it. But guess what? It rained just a little bit. Water conducts electricity very, very well. So there's just a little bit of water down this string all the way to that key, and there's a little bit of water up on the kite. And it's going back and forth and back and forth. And it's picking up that static charge, just like your feet do. And eventually, it swung back and forth enough that the electricity, and this is a word that I put in the vocabulary, conducted itself down the string all the way to that key. And guess what happened? Not yet. You hold on to that. The key began to glow just a little bit. Remember, it's black and it's at night, so you could see the key. It began to glow a little bit. So I took a knitting needle and I was standing on a big block of cork and I reached out to touch the key, but I didn't make it. I got about an inch from the key, and a big blue lightning bolt jumped out of the key and struck the knitting needle. The knitting needles are metal. You know what that proved? That electricity from the sky, or lightning, is exactly the same as shuffling your feet on a carpet and then touching something metal. It wasn't magic, it wasn't evil, thank you, and it wasn't anything special. That's how we proved that it was the same kind of static electricity that you can make with your feet. Does that seem important now? Back then it was something no one had thought of. People had tried to prove it, but they had died trying to prove it.
A person raise someone's hair.
It does. You can imagine what I'd look like out in a lightning storm with all my hair standing up.
Like a balloon.
Oh yeah.
When you rub it on your head, it starts moving your hair up in the sky.
That's an experiment you can do. That's static electricity. If you rub that on your hair, it'll produce static electricity, and that's how we proved that that's what was in the clouds.
Or if you like rub it on your hair, then you can like stick it to the wall.
And that's a form of electricity that they worked on, and it's called magnetism. Have you ever seen an electromagnet? You run an electric current.
Are you from the Colonial Heritage Center?
Oh, that's me, yes. So that's how you proved that that's what electricity was in lightning. That's important. How many of you go home and lift that little lever and the lights come on miraculously, right? That's all electricity.
Because light travel in 1 second.
It is.
And then it goes to light in 1 second.
Yep, it
when
does.
there's a lightning storm, your hair lights.
Yeah, it does. It's very, very interesting. In a lightning storm, you know to lay down flat on the ground. You don't want to be the tallest thing around, and you don't want to be underneath trees.
Because if it shuts the tree, it goes on fire and then...
Hey, isn't this the best way to keep away from lightning? So you hold a golf club above your head, pour water on it, and then get under a tree, and then wave it all around.
Well, that brings up my first great invention,
The lightning rod.
the lightning rod. So we proved that you could take a piece of iron and hold it in the air. Lightning would find that. Then we took a piece of copper wire and we ran that down and we stuffed it in the ground. Now, if you know anything about electricity, there's always a ground wire when you do electrical work. So that's another word that we helped develop. We grounded the lightning rod, and so every time you plug in a plug that has 3 plugs, the bottom one is the ground so that you don't get shocked.
It must be in an earthquake, your lights only work in an earthquake problem.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. But that's true. So there's my first great invention, the lightning rod. Saved hundreds of people's lives at least, maybe thousands. Now, let's move on a couple of years. I went to Congress, and I wanted this to be our national bird.
The turkey.
3-headed turkey.
I haven't seen one of those, but that would make an interesting national bird. It would scare everybody,
The
wouldn't it?
3-headed bald eagle.
I don't think that would scare me. But no, I thought the turkey would be a much better national bird than the eagle, because the eagle was the same symbol that all those nations in
But
Europe.
then you would be eating your national
Yeah,
and you would be eating your national bird on Thanksgiving.
true.
That's sad.
It is sad. But see, the turkey is native to North America, and it's only found here. And if you've ever tried to hunt a turkey, they're very difficult, almost impossible to hunt, because they hide really well,
They run really
they
fast.
escape really quickly, and they run really fast. Let me think now. What other group of people do you know in the colonies that would sneak up on their enemy, fire a couple of shots, and then hide or run away so they could fight another day?
Indians.
No, sounds just like a lot of our soldiers early in the war. When Britain had more soldiers than we did that kind of a tactic.
General Howe.
Yeah. General Howe, I knew him. He's a good man, but he's on the wrong side. So anyway, that's one of the reasons I thought the turkey should be our national bird. And this is my favorite kind of pen. It's a quill pen. You see how it's cut sharp? See the point?
That's how you can write small words and then big words.
Yep, well this one's really fine. This is what they call a letter quill. See, it's got a really fine point on the end of it. Can you girls see back there?
I can see.
See how fine a point that is? There's the point. Now, you know what else they used this for when I was alive? We started to learn about giving people inoculations so that they didn't get sick. So they'd take a quill like this that was very, very, very sharp. They'd put a little bit of the infection on the tip of that, and then they'd, here, stand up, young man. Yeah, you. We're going to inoculate you. So what they would do is, the doctor, which was usually the barber, because he's the only one in town who had sharp stuff, he'd come in and you'd hold up your arm like this, turn it over, and what he'd do is he'd take this very, very sharp quill and he'd stick it in your arm with a little bit of that infection on it. And then your body would be able to build up immunities so that you didn't die from that. Now, I know all of you that are in school have been inoculated now. So this is where it all started, was with a pen and getting jabbed in the skin just a little bit. There's a little bit about medicine. My youngest son, Frankie, died from a thing called smallpox. And it was because we forgot to get him inoculated. The rest of the family had gotten inoculated when they were younger, but he was the only one who didn't. And when that particular sickness came to town, he caught it and died. I still regret not getting him inoculated. So it's a good thing you kids are all inoculated now, so that you don't have to worry about some of those kind of sicknesses that were going around.
Like
I was
smallpox.
young, like smallpox. It's bad. Now,
Whoa!
we're going to talk briefly about this. This is one of my most favorite inventions. I won't say inventions, but one of the things I worked on.
The Declaration of Independence.
That's it. I got to work on this. This is one of the favorite things I did in my whole life. This meant so much to everybody. Does it mean much to you kids? Have you read it?
No.
Oh, go home and find a copy of it and read the Declaration of Independence.
There's a white one.
This is just another copy. This is one that I printed on our printing press. This is what it looked like when it was brand new, back in 1776. And this is what it looks like today. Out of the 200 original copies, there are about 25 known to still exist. But when, yep. And this is what it looked like when I went to the printer. Thomas Jefferson and I went with the rough draft of the Declaration to the printer. When's Independence Day?
4th of July.
Why? That's not the day.
That's when the Independence was signed.
No! We passed the Declaration of Independence on July 2nd, 1776. It took 2 days to take it to the printer, to set the type, and to print 200 copies of it. And so when they were done with that, it was dated July 4th, 1776. And that's when Congress got to preview the printed copy of it. And at that time, there were only 2 signatures on it. John Hancock and the Secretary of Congress were the only 2 people who signed the original Declaration of Independence. So one of the other things I like to do, and you look like a responsible group, has you ever had a piece of the Revolutionary War in your hands? Would you like to? I brought a couple of coins with me today. These coins were actually used during the Revolutionary War. This is an English crown from 1696. This is the type of money that was in circulation in the colonies at the beginning of the Revolutionary War. And then this one's actually more important to me. King Louis, after a lot of negotiation, and that's why I went to France, sent a treasure and troops and a navy over to the United Colonies in our defense and help. This is part of the treasure that Louis sent over. This coin is from 1771. and it's French. And it has been passed down to me from a different family. And it's an actual piece of the treasure that Louis sent over to help fund the Revolutionary War. Now these two I'll pass out. These are copies. This is a Spanish dollar, and this is another English crown. And I'll start these two in the middle. And I want, well, here, we'll start one on the back row. Oh, there you go. So there you go. Now you've got two copies that are just perfect, and then two original coins from the Revolutionary War. So you have a piece of American history in your hands when you hold those things. Wouldn't it be nice if they could talk and tell us whose hands they'd been in and where they had been, what they might have paid for? Do you have any questions for me? Yes.
What? Was there like other colors of coins?
Sure. There would have been copper coins and gold coins.
Gold.
There was a lot of gold coins. Anything else? You kids know all about the Revolutionary War. I'm so glad. So I think we're just about time. I heard the bell ring a minute ago. Yes, young lady.
The music is playing right
How
now.
much
So
is their value? That's the zero.
Say that again.
How much is their value?
Well, back then they were worth what we would call about $1. Today, I really don't know what the value is because to me, they're much more important as teaching tools than anything else. Has everybody seen the coins that wants to? Yes. Okay, here's the original from 1696. And then where did the other one get to? Oh, it's over here. It's coming around. There's the Spanish. You know, this one, you kids all talk about pirates, I'm sure. We can talk more about this. This one is pieces of 8. So after this is all over, if you want to know more about pieces of 8, come and talk to me and I'll tell you the story behind this coin. It's the most important coin in American history.